Dawn here with Dylann, of course, and Julie Moffett. I said that right? Yeah. I always say everybody's name wrong, like I always do. Welcome to Romance Happy Hour for those who haven't been here yet. And Dylann, what are you working on?
Dawn is suffering with a migraine tonight. We should say that. So I hope you feel better.
Well, I'm drinking wine, which is probably not the best thing to do with a migraine.
Well, maybe you'll just fall asleep after we're done. Please, after we're done, because you're running things tonight. So please don't fall asleep until after the show is over. I am working on, what am I working on? Gosh, it has been a day. I am working on the first book in my new series that is coming out next summer with Berkeley, and it's due in a couple weeks. So I'm trying to wrap that up, and it's another small town Texas cowboy contemporary kind of westerny thing, and I'm having a lot of fun with it.
We love cowboy.
Thank you. Oh, and my book came out last week, but we're going to hear about that later. I've got a new story, a new project on Radish that I'm keeping up with. So a new second season of the Betting on series. It was Betting on the Bad Boy, and now it's Betting on the Bartender. So
I am trying to get book 3 in the hardcore romance series done. So it can be published next month.
Deadlines. I know. Why do we take on August deadlines when we have children home? And
I am editing, doing last minute read-throughs on my edits for my other Coast Guard book for Jessica, my agent, to submit. So that's what I'm working on when I get time to work on it. But my children have been waking up early. I don't know what's wrong with them. I get up early. I get up at 5 a.m. to write, and they're supposed to sleep in till like 9 or 10 so I can get all my words in. And they've been like, "Ooh, it's 6 o'clock. Let's wake up and bother mommy." And she doesn't get work done. So what can you do?
So, and we have our fabulous guest here tonight, Julie Moffett.
Hi, Julie.
Hi. Oh, I'm up. Is it? You're looking at me because I'm up. Okay.
We're just saying welcome.
Hi,
we're happy that you're here.
I write a geeky, humorous mystery series for Carina Press Harlequin. You might recognize me by the geek hats that I usually have on in all of my pictures. I brought it today, but I'm not wearing it because I think that'd be too high for the camera. I actually also, as do you guys, I have an August 30th deadline for the 12th book in the series, which is called No Questions Asked. And I also have a young adult series also featuring a geek girl because geek girls rock. And that series is the White Knight series. It's featuring a young teenage female hacker who gets mixed up with spy stuff. And it's really a lot of fun. That's what I'm working on. Also trying to, keep my son busy when he's not in camp and also working a full-time job and everything else. It makes for a very busy day for me.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So, I know we're not at our questions yet, but so do you write in the morning or at night? Because it sounds like
I write at night and on the weekends. Yeah. So I work usually, it depends. I have a job that sometimes requires me to work a long, long day.
Yeah.
So, but then I will get time off for that time I worked late. So so it just depends on what's going on. But typically I work, during the day, and then after I put, homework and food on the table and whatever, I sit down and I write. So I write books. Yeah.
See, I admire you, and Dylann writes at night a lot too, because sometimes she's like making posts at like 3 a.m. and stuff, and I'm like, go to bed. But people work at night. I just can't do it. Like I get to like 7:30 and I'm like, everybody go to bed. I'm having wine and I'm passing out my food. I can't do it. I tried to last night. I tried to edit and I got to like like page 2, and then
Yeah, I'm a night owl anyway, so it works for me. The house is super quiet. I'm not interrupted. There's nothing, no noises outside. It's a super quiet at night for me, and then I can just, it's very good. It's a good vibe for me when it's just me alone. I feel very insulated, and I like to write in that kind of environment, so it works.
See, that's what the 5 a.m. is supposed to be for me.
Well, same thing. Yeah, it's supposed to be that way.
My children are
Right.
complying.
I do write better in the morning, Dawn.
Yeah,
I do.
Sometimes
A cup of coffee.
got to get stuff done.
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so Julie, what have you brought us today?
Am I reading first?
Oh, no, Dylan's reading first.
Oh, okay, but you wanted me. Oh, what am I bringing? Oh, for the giveaway?
Well, yeah, I meant reading. I'm tired, got a headache.
So did you, what was the question again? I'm sorry.
I said, what did you bring us? I meant
sorry. I don't know. I brought myself.
Dawn, do you need me to
wait, okay, I'll show everybody my earrings. Everybody, can you see my Atom earrings? See my
Oh my gosh, those are adorable.
Earrings? Can you see them?
Those are cute.
I can see them.
And then I
They're
also have
super
my
cute.
circuit necklace on. So there you go. Okay, so that's what I brought. Okay, now what's the other question?
But I do want you to show your giveaway because
Okay.
like I had to fake the picture in there. That's why I made a little thing that says it's not what basically my words on there were sucked according to what the book bag actually looks like. But no giveaway.
All right, here comes the giveaway. Yay! So it says, I don't know how much you can read it, but
Yeah, we
it
can see it.
says, a day without reading is like, who are you kidding? I have no idea.
Very
Nice,
cute.
like really sturdy, heavy canvas bag, with good, strong things. You can carry lots of books in there. So
now, are you a crafter and did you make that?
Oh God, no! I couldn't craft myself out of a paper bag. I know so many people who are so good at crafts and they can sew. And I mean, when it's time for me to do a button, I'm like, I have to get pre-prepared for like the invasion of Kosovo because I have to have everything out and I don't know what I'm doing and it's just for a button, and then it takes me like an hour to do one button. No, no. Yeah. And my sister and my sister-in-law, they're such amazing crafters, quilters, knitters. I don't know. No. I wish I was, though.
Well, it's adorable.
It is.
And Dawn, I feel like we should give people an explanation on why we don't have our
That's
other
what I
guests.
got.
Yes. So we had Anne-Marie Walker here.
Yep, Anne-Marie Walker.
And lined up to come tonight, but she was having technical difficulties. And I forgot to say that earlier. See, I'm just all over the road.
All right, I'm here to help you, Dawn. I'm going to prop you up. I gotcha.
All right. If we were together, I'd be like leaning on your shoulder. I'd be like, oh, Carol. She's going to cover for me. No, yeah. So she was going to come, but she was having technical difficulties, so she didn't make it. So Dylan and I were talking about who should read, and I was thinking about reading, but then I just did for my last release, and I know Dylan just had Cowboy Charming come up, and I'm really curious. It's Presley, right?
It is Presley. That's right.
Yeah, I wanted to hear Presley, so I threw it at her. So she's going to read to us first.
We virtually arm wrestled over who was going to do it, and I lost, so I'm reading.
It's because I'm strong. Look at these guys. Anyway, Dylan's reading.
Yes, so I'll read a little bit tonight, and we'll get Anne-Marie on here at some point when we figured out why her camera would not connect. So,
well, are you ready, Miss Dylan?
Oh, sure. Yeah, and Julie wanted to throw me to the wolves first, so I'm going to read first.
All right, here we go.
Okay. And I have been seeing your comments, lady. So yes, Linda, we may just want to take this to the bar. But I am going to take it to the bar because we are going to go to the Rambling Rose, where Cowboy Charming opens. And I guess I probably should have planned for better lighting, but we're going to make this work. I haven't read on here for a long time. Okay, so I'm just going to start with, I'm going to read you chapter 1 because I didn't have much notice to figure out the perfect scene. But I guess we'll just dive in. Oh, it's so weird being on this side of things and not being the one that's watching someone else read from the comfort of my own desk. Okay, here we go. Chapter 1, Cowboy Charming. Dixie King hoisted the tray of long necks onto her shoulder and sashayed through a busier than usual Thursday night crowd. Spring finals week must be coming to a close for the frat boys and pseudo cowgirls who considered the Rambling Rose their personal stomping ground. Sidestepping a clean-shaven guy in a polo shirt with grabby hands, she delivered the bottles one by one to the impatient patrons. That right there was why her daddy never wanted her to take this job. As the resident preacher in the tiny town of Holiday, Texas, he feared for her moral safety. Funny thing was, he had absolutely nothing to worry about. Beyond the occasional ass grabber or drunken proposition, Dixie hadn't been involved with a man in years. She made her way back to the bar to snag another load. As she transferred the bottles and mugs onto the tray, a body slid onto the stool at the end of the bar. Presley Walker. She'd have known it was him by the hint of intoxicating cologne that drifted off the man in a hormone-inducing wave. If her daddy wanted to pray for someone, Presley should be at the top of the list. Although it may be too late for him, Dixie figured he might not have any morals still intact. Hey, Red. He took one of the bottles off the tray and tilted it in her direction before giving her a wink and lifting it to his lips. Even though something as simple as a smile from Presley Walker could make her thighs quiver for days, she ignored the urge to slip onto a bar stool and make believe it was her mouth receiving the attention of his lips and not a mere bottle of beer. Fantasies involving Presley were just that, fantasies. She couldn't afford to get caught up in wishing anything more would ever happen between them. She'd play off his attention like she always did, with a mixture of disdain and sass. The combination had proven effective over the years at deterring any potential advances from Holiday's resident Romeo. Not that he'd follow through anyway. The way her daddy had treated her first long-term boyfriend had pretty much guaranteed no other eligible man in Holiday would be willing to subject himself to Pastor King's scrutiny. Red? Gosh, Presley, what wit. I haven't heard that one before. She rolled her eyes, then grabbed the extra beer the bartender handed her. Her red hair came from her mother's side of the family, specifically her grandmother. Too bad she hadn't also inherited the free-spirited, devil-may-care attitude her Grandma Eugenia was known for. Hell, Dixie, I'm just warming up. Presley's gaze drifted over her. The man could summon heat from an ice cube. Her skin burned under his attention. She felt like she was standing in the middle of the crowded honky-tonk in nothing but her birthday suit. She groaned and whirled around, ready to run the gauntlet through the handsy crowd again. She'd rather face down a room full of cocky frat boys than get stuck face-to-face with Presley Walker. Her reluctance had absolutely nothing to do with the way his blue eyes sparkled or how his mouth tipped up in a crooked grin, making heat pool in places she didn't want to acknowledge, and everything to do with the string of X-rated dreams she'd been having over the past several months, starring who else but Holiday, Texas's most notorious bachelor. Maybe she should do what her daddy had been encouraging her to do ever since she took this job, quit. But the tips were good, and working the late afternoon and evening shifts meant she could help out more at home. Besides, she needed the money if she wanted a place of her own someday. She had her heart set on opening a little artist studio where she could make and sell the handcrafted jewelry she'd been working on for the past few years. There were several other local artists in the area she'd love to feature as well. Another year or two and she'd be able to turn her dream into a reality. Too bad that meant having regular run-ins with the blue-eyed demon. She shook her mass of red curls, trying to dislodge the memories of last night's dream from her head. It wasn't like Presley would stop coming around. Not only was he the local sales rep for the liquor supplier, but his sister Charlie and brother-in-law Beck owned the Rambling Rose, which meant she needed to keep him out of her head and definitely out of her dreams. As she gathered another load of empties, her phone buzzed in her back pocket. She balanced the tray with one hand and glanced at the screen. Charlie. Hey, Dixie, I need a favor. Charlie didn't usually call during a shift. She was supposed to be taking a rare night off. Sure, what's up? Dixie liked working for Charlie. She was a fair boss and a good friend, and despite her unfortunate relations, Dixie would do anything for her, no questions asked. It's Beck. He was on his way to New York for that craft beer awards ceremony and got sideswiped. Charlie's voice trembled. Oh my gosh, is he okay? Dixie set the tray on the bar and made her way to the office where she'd have a better chance of being able to hold a conversation. Yeah, just shook up a bit. Charlie regained her composure, but the trailer's wrecked and Baby Back got loose. Oh no, did he catch her? The Rambling Rose had a long history of pig mascots, and up until a year or so ago, Babyback had filled that role. Now she had a much more high-profile job as the poster pig for Beck's Pride and Joy, a bacon-infused maple syrup ale. Finally, but not before she caused a bit of a pileup on the highway. I've got to get out there and help him drive back. He sprained his wrist and won't be able to manage the pig in the trailer on his own. I booked a flight for first thing in the morning. My dad's going with me to help with the baby. Charlie sighed. I hate to ask this of you, but I need you to handle things while I'm gone. Oh, sure, I'd be happy to help out. It was the least she could do. But can't your dad just go on his own or take one of your brothers with him? They've got too much going on, and family comes first. I've got to get out there and make sure he's okay. I know it's silly, but I know. Everyone in town knew about how Charlie's high school sweetheart passed away in an accident while he was serving overseas. But Beck will be fine. I know. I just need to see him. Charlie cleared her throat. And that means I need you to run the Rose while I'm gone, not just pitch in. Dixie's stomach twisted into a knotted mess. What about Shep, or Angelo, or even Jinx? Any one of the other regular employees seemed better equipped to take on the responsibility of running the oldest honky-tonk in Texas. I'm asking you. Shep knows the bar. Angelo knows the kitchen. Jinx won't be too much help. Sure, she'll try, but she's 6 months pregnant. You know more about everything than anyone. They'll all be around to pitch in. Dixie took in a deep breath and nodded to herself. Charlie needed her, and if she was an expert at anything, it was pitching in when someone she cared about called on her for help. I'll do my best. Charlie's relief flowed through the phone. Thanks, I knew I could count on you. How long do you think y'all might be gone? Dixie worked better with detailed schedules, established timeframes, and clear expectations. I'm not sure. We've got to attend the awards ceremony on Sunday night, and Beck wants to stop to see his dad as long as we're up that way. We'll be back by next weekend for sure, though. Next weekend? Dixie bit back the excuses, trying to fight their way free. We'll be fine. Don't you worry about a thing. I'll take care of everything here. Thanks so much. I've got to start packing, but I'll send you an email once I get my thoughts pulled together. You're going to be great with the Chili Festival starting this weekend, and the Chili Festival? Dixie slapped a hand to her forehead. She'd all but forgotten about the first annual Rambling Rose Chili Festival. They'd invited bands and vendors from around the country to perform and set up booths for the next 2 weekends. The festival would culminate in what they'd been billing as one of the largest chili cook-offs in Texas. You can do this, Dixie. I have faith in you. Before Dixie could arrange the jumbled mess in her brain into a rational argument, a knock sounded on the office door. Coming. Dixie made her way to the door as Charlie continued to rattle off items to put on the to-do list. Thousands of people would be attending the festival. How could Dixie keep a handle on things at the Rose and still help as much as she needed to at home? She bit her lip and shook her head. Charlie couldn't expect her to do it all on her own. It just wasn't possible. She'd have to find someone else, someone with more experience. Charlie's voice cut through her thoughts. I know what you're thinking. It's too much for one person to handle. Dixie nodded. Right. I'm glad you understand. I can't. That's why I arranged for some help. The door opened. A head of unruly brown hair poked through, followed by those sinful blue eyes. Hey, Red, did you hear the good news? Looks like we're going to be partners. So I'll just read, a little bit more from Presley's point of view, if you want, and finish the chapter. Presley wanted to laugh out loud at the horror reflected on Dixie's face. Instead, he slipped into the room and closed the door behind him. What do you say? I think we'll make a great team. She continued to gape at him, her mouth hanging open like an endless black hole. Okay, then, I can see you need some time to get used to the idea. He crossed the room to take a seat and kick his boots up on the edge of the desk. You sure about this? Dixie whispered into the phone. Presley's not exactly the most... Her gaze cut to him. He gave her a wink and blew her a kiss. Her cheeks flamed, coming close to matching the color of her garnet waves. Why don't you put her on speaker? Presley suggested. Oh, this was going to be about as much fun as trying to piss into the wind. Presley wasn't exactly in favor of working side by side with Dixie King. The poor woman didn't know how to have fun. He'd given up flirting with her a couple of years ago. She either lacked the ability to handle some good-natured quips, or her daddy had preached all the sass right out of her. But Charlie needed help, and one thing the Walker family always did was take care of their own. Dixie slumped into the chair next to him, then scooted it a few feet away, scraping the legs on the ancient wooden planks. He let his boots drop from the edge of the desk to the floor. I'm not going to bite you or anything, Red, unless you ask me to, that is. She didn't glance over at him, just set the phone on the edge of the desk and pressed the speaker button. Thanks so much to both of you for saying you'll help while I'm gone. Charlie's voice floated from the phone. Presley kept his gaze trained on Dixie. I know putting the two of you together might not seem like a natural fit. Presley snorted. Like champagne and beer. Wait, did Dixie even drink? More like seltzer water and a perfectly aged whiskey, with him being the whiskey, of course. Dixie's jaw set, and she finally cast a glance his way. I'm sure we'll be able to handle things in a professional manner. Dixie, you're so good with managing all the details. I know you'll be able to keep things organized and running smoothly while I'm gone. And Press, you're fantastic at managing people. I want you to make sure all the vendors and musicians are settled and comfortable. He crossed his arms over his chest. Making people comfortable is one of my special talents. Not that comfortable. I don't need any scandals coming out of our first chili cook-off. That's why I've got you working together. Dixie's going to keep you in line. The only line Presley ever adhered to was the line for the bar, and that was only if he couldn't figure out a way to sweet-talk his way to the front. I don't need a babysitter, sis. No, but you do need someone to make sure you stay on task and don't get distracted. Dixie's mouth quirked up in a hint of a smile. Hey, before you go getting all holier than thou, she must not trust you to work on your own either. Presley nodded more to himself than anyone else. Dixie shook her head. Charlie cleared her throat. Presley, for once in your life, will you grow up and act your age, not the size of your ideal Saturday night hookup's waist? That low blow made him hang his head. He wanted to deny the implication, but based on his history, his sister was right. Chasing skirts and having a good time had been his MO for so long, he'd never given her any reason to think deep down he might want something more. I'll do my part, whatever you need. You focus on Beck and making sure my nephew is okay. Red and I will keep the place going while you're gone, right? He turned the full force of his gaze on Dixie. She startled, whether from his serious tone or being put in the hot seat, he couldn't tell. Didn't matter. Working side by side with her might be about as much fun as getting a double root canal with no Novocaine, but he'd do what he needed to do. For Charlie, for Beck, for the Rambling Rose. Stop calling me that, Dixie muttered into her chest. Then she turned her green eyes on him, eyes the color of the tall grass that covered the Texas hillsides in spring. Yes, we'll make it work. Good, Charlie said. I'll get that email together tonight and send it to both of you. Sound good? Presley narrowed his eyes. Sounds good to me. Dixie stared right back. She might have more spunk than he'd given her credit for. I'll be on the lookout for it. All right, Charlie said. Thanks again. I'll be in touch. Dixie reached for the phone. Take care and safe travels. Bye. Charlie ended the call. Before he could figure out what to say, Dixie stood and moved toward the door, still holding his gaze. Want to meet here in the morning to talk about how we can divvy up the tasks? Sure. What time do you want me? Registration opens at noon. How about we meet at 8? He checked his watch. If he left now, he might manage 6 hours of sleep, fairly shy of his usual 7 to 8 hours. You really think we need that much time? She narrowed her gaze. I can always see if Shep or Angelo can help out if you're not up for it. He lifted a brow. So that's how it was going to go down. She didn't think he could pull his own weight. Oh, Red, I'm always up for whatever you've got going. She scoffed. Charlie's right. You don't take anything seriously, do you? He'd show her. He'd show all of them that he could be more than a pretty face. 8's perfect. Dixie clenched her jaw and spun toward the door. He waited until it clicked closed behind her before he took his seat again and dialed his sister. Charlie answered after one ring. Maybe this is a bad idea. You and Dixie will never be able to pull this off. I can do it, Char. Her voice shifted, suddenly sounding much older than her 32 years. Are you sure? Don't lie to me. Not about this. It's too important. Presley scuffed his boots on the floor in front of him. I swear I'll do my best while you're gone. Is it good timing? No. Sierra and I had plans to go camping out at Big Bend. She'll be pissed, but I'll figure out a way to make it up to her. Sierra? I thought you were dating April. He shrugged. April started talking about moving in together. You know as well as she does, that's not my scene. Whatever, just promise me you won't give Dixie a hard time. She's tougher than she looks, but she's not used to putting up with the likes of you. The likes of him. What would his sister say if he told her the real reason he'd broken up with April wasn't that she wanted to get serious, but that she wasn't the one he wanted to get serious with? Something inside of him had shifted over the past couple of years. When Charlie found her happily ever after with Beck, he dismissed it as something his baby sister would do. But last year, when Jinx made an honest man out of Cash, Presley had got to thinking. Maybe there was more to life than one-night stands, partying and raising hell with the boys. 2 of his buddies had taken the leap and gotten hitched last fall. His pack was dwindling, and he didn't want to be the only one left, trying to whoop it up when he was old and gray and alone. No, he wasn't ready to talk to anyone about the unsettled feeling that had taken up residence inside his chest. Not until he figured out what it meant and what, if anything, he was willing to do about it. For the time being, he'd do what he always did. He'd be the fun-loving bad boy his family and the whole town of Holiday had dubbed him. Yeah, I'll walk on eggshells around Dixie May King, or Miss Dixie King. Scout's honor. Even though she couldn't see him through the phone, he held his hand over his heart. Didn't you quit Boy Scouts when they caught you kissing Missy Townsend behind the shed at the Pinewood Derby? Semantics, sis. I still have the heart of a scout. Why, just last week I helped Mabel Mitchell cross the street. You're incorrigible. I've got to go. I'm never going to get all the stuff packed up if I don't get a move on. Presley grinned as he got to his feet. Just take care of Beck and baby Sully. I promise I'll try not to piss Dixie off. And he would too, but it wouldn't be his fault if Red got herself all worked up on her own.
So, okay, Julie, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, so Julie can't hear you. So we're trying to go with that one.
I hear you, Dawn. I hear you, but I can hear you, but I can't hear anybody else. Yeah.
Dylan, say something.
Julie can hear me.
Hello?
She can't hear you, Dylan.
No, I can hear Julie, but I don't think she can hear me.
No,
I can only hear you for some reason. I don't know why.
I can talk in sign language.
I'm sorry, I missed it. I'm sure it was a fantastic reading. I missed it.
Dylan says she's going to talk to you in sign language.
No, I don't know
I can't see her either. I don't have her up on the screen either.
Oh, man. We're going to have to rethink this Dylann.
I tell you, this whole program just keeps messing us up.
I saw her before. Now I just see her name, but that's okay.
All right. Dylan, I'm going to pop you out and back in.
Okay.
Oh, I see you nice and big.
Yeah. Okay, she should be coming on. Sorry.
Oh, there she is. Now I see her.
Can you hear?
How was the reading? I'm sure it was great. I heard nothing but silence tick-tock of my clock, but I'm sure it was
Oh, no.
Oh, I don't know. It felt like it went on forever. So I felt like I read for an hour and a half.
You didn't, and I loved it.
All right.
I have to go
I missed it.
We have to go to Walmart so my daughter can shuffle around the books and put yours at eye level like she always does.
It's good to have merchandisers looking out for me. Be at Walmart. I think it's only at certain Walmarts, so I'm not sure. It's not at any of the ones by me.
Okay, well, I'll have to go look for real.
Yep.
So, all right, we did have some questions and some comments. Like, let's see. Well, Linda says Red is in trouble with that cowboy. And let's see. And Jamie made it this week. We're very excited. And then Karen says you can always do a book reading at Mendota Cafe. Is that the one that you went to? It's like the crazy one?
Yes. So Karen and I met was it only last week? It seems like my last week was very long because I drove to Kansas City and back. But yeah, Karen and I met last week, and I thought I was being super sick by trying to find a place for us to have coffee that was close to her hotel. And I was not really, really, really familiar with the area where her hotel was. So I found this place, and we both went there, and it was in the basement of an office building. And so I'm sure she wondered when her husband dropped her off there if I was luring her there for some nefarious purpose. That would be something one of Julie's people would do, I'm sure. But yeah, it was kind of funny. We were the only ones there. They had just opened. It was a different kind of place, but it was good, and we had the whole place to ourselves. And
that's good.
Yeah, and I didn't club her over the head with like a coffee pot or anything like that. So it was good.
How was the coffee though?
I was a little disappointed because they just had coffee, and I normally like a skinny vanilla latte. I mean, that's like my drink of choice, and so I'm not sure I'll go back to meet anyone else there for coffee because they just had coffee.
Yeah. So you got me hooked on skinny vanilla lattes, I'm just going to say, from our 2017 when she was just like, order this. I'm like, okay, let's do it.
It's good though.
Karen wants to know, Julie, how do you choose titles of your story, and what is the process? Does it change as you begin to write the story?
Usually I pick the title before I write the story. And so when I picked the first title of the book, the first book in the series is called No One Lives Twice. And I did that on purpose because I wanted to, when I created the character of Lexi Carmichael, I wanted to do a character who was sort of an antithesis to James Bond. She's everything different. She was not suave or charming, and like basically never went on a date before. She relies on her brain versus her brawn. And of course she was female. And so I just wanted to turn that whole trope on its head. And so I did the same, but to make it funny, I made her also a James Bond geek. So she likes James Bond, and so there's a lot of references to James Bonds in the book. So that one I made up my own, and then I've asked fans often help me come up with titles, and it was interesting because then I decided to make every book in the series start with no, which was really nerve-wracking at first because I thought, oh my God, what if the reviewers are all saying, say no to the no series? I'm like, oh, what was I thinking? I didn't think about that till after, but anyway, so all of the books start with no, and I try to make it have, and then whatever the title is, I always try to make that line be in the book somewhere. So No One Lives Twice, and, No One to Trust, or No Woman Left Behind. All of those titles, that phrase will appear somewhere in the story. So it's kind of a clue to readers when they see the title, they know that there's going to be in some context in the story. So it's kind of fun.
And what about you, Dylan? Just curious. Like I know we discussed this a little last time.
For my titles?
Yeah.
Well, most of my traditional titles, it's a collaboration because, if you're, it's a lot of times, if it's a contemporary Western, I would say 99% of the time they're going to want cowboy in it, just because I think that helps people find them easier. So the Holiday Texas series, all of them have cowboy in the title. And then my indie series that I've got out right now, the Lovebird Cafe, I wanted to have fun with it. And so since they're, all about food and revolving around the cafe, I had fun with sweet tea and second chances and mud pies and family ties. And then lemon tarts and stolen hearts is coming out in a couple weeks. So
and then she's going to read my book that I'm editing right now, and then she's going to give me a title that's super cute. I have no idea what I'm going to call this book. I'm calling it Hope Harbor, but I don't think it's going to end up with that name.
I like that name, though.
I just feel like it's just a location.
Well, it can be the Hope Harbor series, and we'll come up with something because
Hope Harbor series.
It's got something to do with light.
Yeah.
Symbolism of light.
Yeah. And then let's see. Linda, and I'm assuming, Linda, you said if you were to rate your best work, how would you rate it? It says take, but I don't know where I'm taking my work to. Again, I have a headache and wine in me. If you were to rate your best work, how would you rate it? And this is for everybody. Let's start with you. How would you rate your best work?
I would give it 100%. I don't know. That's a hard question. I don't know what you mean. Linda will have to clarify what exactly she means by that. I'm sure she will.
Clarify for us, Linda.
Clarify. She'll clarify.
Yeah. Well, while she's clarifying, Julie, did you want to read real quick before,
all right.
Well, not real quick. Don't rush her. She's got some.
I wanted to get you in there so that we didn't have to rush.
That's fine. Okay, so I'm reading from the book called No Money Down. It's actually a prequel to the series. How it came about was that I was writing book 3 in the series when my publisher called and said, we want to do a special edition stories with some of our writers, and we'd like you to write one story for it. Well, it just so happens that I have a series arc and there's no time in between, like every book was planned like with the timeline tight. So in order to do that, I decided to go back to the very beginning when she meets some of the characters in that become very prominent in the story. So that's how this story came about, and it's called No Money Down. So chapter 1. My name is Lexi Carmichael, and I hate the beach. Okay, maybe hate is too strong a word. I don't really hate the beach. It's just the sun is too bright, the sand is everywhere, and seaweed gets stuck in my toes. Don't even get me started on how much I dislike bathing suits. It's not pretty. I don't like people being crammed together in a mathematically disproportionate way in a very small area, especially when they're half-dressed and strutting around like peacocks. It's too hot, too loud, and smells too much like coconut suntan lotion. Beam me out of here, Scotty, please. Yet here I am, spending my precious vacation days at Ocean City, Maryland, on a beach without my beloved laptop, forced into this so-called time away from technology with my best friend and former roommate, Basha Kowalski. Somehow I let myself get talked into it. Usually I can resist her crazy ideas. After all, I have a pretty high IQ, and I recently graduated from Georgetown University with a double major in mathematics and computer science. But sometimes she talks so fast and runs me in circles that I often will acquiesce just to quit trying to figure out what she's trying to say. Unfortunately, at that point, it's too late. I'm stuck, having agreed to God knows what just to end the conversation. Don't get me wrong, I adore Basha. She's everything I'm not. Pretty, social, fashionable, and outgoing. She's also witty and has a remarkable flair for languages. She speaks about 20 of them fluently. And has her own business as a freelance translator while working part-time for Berlitz. You know, those folks that put out the small phrase books in dozens of different languages. She's brought me out of my shell more than any other person I've ever known, even if it does make me nervous and cranky most of the time. She's always telling me, Lexi Carmichael, it's time to log off and get a life. She's usually right. I'll be the first to admit, I'm not the easiest person to be around. I'm not a girly girl and I'm not a tomboy. I'm skinny in an awkward way and have no fashion sense, and I don't date much. Okay, fine, I don't date at all, which is not surprising since my social skills suck. I'm a geek. That means my happy place is online, computers, code, gaming. I'm also an ace hacker, or at least I used to be. Then I got busted. It wasn't a malicious hack, that's not my style, but it was still illegal. Lucky for me, my dad is a high-priced lawyer for a swanky firm in Georgetown, so no one could prove anything. However, it scared the bejeebies out of me, and it scared my dad too. Although I'm technically an adult, he threatened to take away all my computer equipment if I ever hacked like that again. So now I'm working for the National Security Agency, better known as the NSA. I've completely sworn off hacking, although what I do in my imagination is between me, myself, and I. Secretly, I have a desire to fit into the real world, at least sometimes, which is why I suspect I let Basha talk me into most of the things she does. Do you think this is a good spot? Basha paused, setting the cooler down into sand. She pointed at a small spot sandwiched between an older couple sitting in a couple of lawn chairs beneath an umbrella and a greasy, muscled guy asleep on his stomach on a black towel. I shrugged. Whatever. Great. She rolled out the colorful yellow Mexican blanket, and I dropped the bags at my feet. You can set up the umbrella here. Sighing, I shoved the umbrella deep into the sand, angling it for maximum protection. That way, I wouldn't spend more than a few minutes in the sun, if any at all. Roasting in the rays was not my cup of tea. After a few minutes of unpacking, Basha shimmied out of a cute white beach dress, unveiling a teeny tiny green bikini. She handed me the suntan lotion. Can you do my back? I smeared a considerable amount on her back and shoulders. She did the rest and then faced me. Your turn. My cheeks heated. I'm thinking about just staying here under the umbrella. She gave me a look that meant I'd said something really wrong. My mom had that exact look. Basha planted her hands on her hips. Take off your clothes now. No. No buts. Undress. Resigned, I took off my shirt. Good. Now drop the pants. I slid the pants off my legs and handed them over. She stared at me. Where did you get that bathing suit? Can you believe it? I said. It was 90% off at Macy's. You mean you actually paid money for that? Do you like it? It looks like something my great-grandmother would wear. I frowned, but it covers all the essentials. It covers a lot more than that. Okay, the first order of business after the beach is to buy you a new bathing suit. I stepped out from underneath the umbrella, and Basha shielded her eyes. Oh my God, you're white to the point of being clear. When was the last time you sat out in the sun? In a bathing suit? I guess I was 12. Why is it my work is never done with you? Okay, I think an extra layer of lotion will be necessary. Then after she rubbed the suntan lotion onto me, I thanked her and started to go back to the safety of the umbrella. Oh, no, you don't, she said. We're going into the ocean. Why? It's salty in there. That's the idea. Sun, fresh air, and salty water. We're at the beach, remember? I don't want to, I said. I figured she'd probably try to drag me, though, which is technically, I didn't see how she could because I have about 5 inches and 15 pounds on her. But she'd try, which would attract more attention, which was even more loathsome to me than sticking my toes in the water. All right, I said. I suppose a little water couldn't hurt anything. Basha took my hand. Come on, let's go deep. I hesitated. I can't swim. Don't worry, we won't go far. The water lapped against my knees and then my thighs, and as we went deeper, my nerves surfaced. Okay, I think this is far enough. Come on, just a couple steps more. Oh, no, I'm kind of scared right now. The waves were slamming me, keeping me off balance. I think I've had enough. Her pretty mouth turned into a pout. But we just got here. Come on. Suddenly, a wave swelled in front of us, and it reached its crescendo. She pulled me up, and we rode the wave. It scared me at first, but after a few times, I realized I kind of liked it. Hey, this is pretty fun. It didn't seem like it was going to be that much of a problem here, standing, riding a couple of waves. But then suddenly, a big wave came. My hand ripped from Basha's as the momentum of the wave pushed me forward with alarming speed. I saw the blurry shape of a figure in front of me, and my brain instantly calculated that a crash was imminent. I opened my mouth to scream a warning, but water rushed inside, and I slammed into the shape with the force of a speeding bullet. We rolled over and over into a ball of tangled limbs, water, and seaweed. I pushed up to my knees on the beach, doggy style, sputtering and coughing. My hair dripped heavily on either side of me, and while I'm pretty sure I hacked up half the ocean with some seaweed to boot. I lifted my head long enough to see the fuzzy shape next to me stagger sideways. Oh my God, I coughed up some water. I'm so sorry. Are you okay? He held out a hand to help me up. I blinked, my vision hazy. Staggering to a half crouch, I reached out for his hand. Still unsteady, I missed and fell forward right on top of him, my hand still outstretched. My fingers got tangled into the waistband of his swimsuit, and as I fell face first into the sand, I took his swimsuit around his ankles with me. There you go.
Oh my gosh, the last part is amazing. I love that. Can't wait to keep reading.
So,
all right, we do.
That was awesome.
We have a bunch of questions.
Okay.
So we'll start with Denise. Do you have a vision of what you want to cover of your books to look like when you start?
The cover?
The cover, yeah.
Well, I write for a publisher for this story, so we don't have as much control over the covers as I would like. We get something called a cover art sheet, and they ask us questions like, what color is the heroine's hair, and what are some of the things that feature into the story, and so on. That being said, the first book, No One Lives Twice, has gone through about 4 cover changes with Harlequin. Carina Press and Harlequin. So the first cover lasted for only about a couple of months, and then they switched it to another cover, which was just silhouettes on the outside with a big target and some silhouettes. And they did those for like 4 or 5 books. Then the marketing does research all the time on how covers are making the books sell. And so apparently my books were selling very well among the 35 and up market. But she's 25 in the story, and so they wanted to reach the younger market, so they redid the covers a 4th time. This time they put a young girl on the cover to make it, more palatable for maybe younger readers to pick up. And so I, at first, did not like it. I was like, what? That doesn't even look like her, and I was like, no. But I just, I didn't get much of a say. And then, of course, they took off. It took off among the younger people. So don't ever ask me, that's why I don't market, right? So they knew what they were talking about. So I was like, okay, never mind. So, so it worked out. But they're also doing now something new in September 16th. There's a 5th cover now out, but it's going to be a combination. I know, right? A combination of the 2 books. So it'll be book 1 and book 2 in a 2-in-1 edition with a new cover. So, and then they're doing that for each of the books all the way up, because I'm on book 12, I think now. So, so they'll be doing that for the coming year. They'll be doing a 2-in-1 editions, and those are all going to have brand new covers for the 2-in-1 edition. So, yeah.
That's awesome.
How often do you publish those books, Julie?
About 1 a year.
Okay.
Yeah. So.
All right, and Karen wants to know what's your most successful way to communicate with listeners. Do you do newsletter or Facebook group or another option?
I have a newsletter. I put it out about 6 times a year. That's it. 6 a year. But because I put them out so rarely, I make them very worthwhile. So there's always huge prizes in them. I always stock them full, like 30 books with all my friends that have free books or sales or whatever. So I try to make those 6 newsletters count. So a lot of people sign up because they figure they're only going to get 6 a year because, it's not going to be that big a deal. I communicate mostly now with, I have a Facebook readers group, which is absolutely the most fantastic group of people. Just the most, we just have so much fun, and they're just so caring and so kind. I feel like everyone's my friend, it's just a really nice place. to hang out. So we spend I spend a lot of time in there, mostly because I just like everybody there. So we have a good time, and occasionally I'll talk about my books in there. But yeah, so
with that, Linda says, and I'm going to add to Linda's. Okay. Linda says, who are your books mostly dedicated to? And I'm going to add, do you dedicate them to your Facebook, like people in your Facebook group? Or
so it's funny that you asked that question. That's such a good question because it actually is very relevant for me. I actually dedicate my books mostly to my family, mostly, but I came across actually the Facebook reader group that I have now. Actually, I didn't start it. I was actually Googling my name online because I was looking for a review that someone said they put up, and I came across this Julie Moffett fan club. And I was like, oh, wow.
Oh, that's awesome.
I look at it, and I can't really see because you have to join the group before you can see the post. So I sent a message and said, hi, I'm Julie. Can I join, And it turns out that the woman who started the group was from South Africa. And she had, a bunch of fans that were from kind of over there in different areas. And so I joined. And then, it just kind of exploded from there. I mean, people came on and we had such a great time. But I kind of took this whole thing about this fan club because there was a fan club for Lexi, which is the main character. Lexi, it was kind of her fan club, not really mine. I mean, it was because everybody was talking about Lexi, not really talking about me. They were talking about Lexi. And so in book 4, I dedicated it wasn't. It was book 10. It was book No Living Soul. I actually dedicated the book to the girl Vanessa, who started the fan club. And also in that book, Lexi in the book gets a fan club, a IT fan club, fan club. So, and she's very comfortable with all the attention. But so I actually put that into the story. I actually weaved in the whole idea of a fan club and people talking about her and stuff. And then I dedicated the book to Vanessa and the fan club. So yeah.
Oh, that is so cool.
Oh, that's super cool.
It was really fun. It was really cool.
All right. So Karen wants to know, do you do a vision board for all of your stories? And what is your word goal for each week?
So I do. I call it a storyboard. And it's a fairly recent technique. I'd say within the last 3 years for me. It helps me write a lot faster. So I get a science trifold and I have sticky notes. And I actually storyboard the idea on the sticky notes on the board, on the science fair board. And it's basically the different colors mean different things. Like, pink means this will be a scene where Lexi is going to be doing this, and the blue is the action, and the yellow is the emotional impact that I want to get out of that chapter. And then it's nice because as I'm going along, I can move the stickies. I'm like, no, this scene really has to go here. And then I can just move everything around and I don't have to rewrite. And it's just really, really good for me. And then I basically go through and write a first draft just from the board. And then I can put the board away and then I can work on the story there. And it's really has increased my ability to write faster for me, especially because at night I'm tired. Like I was saying, sometimes I'm work a long day and I sit down to write. I don't have to think what comes next. I just go to the sticky, pull note. This is what I have to cover in this chapter. Chink, chink, chink. Sticky notes are right there. And then I could just go right to work. So
you're a plotter for sure.
I'm totally a plotter. I'm not even remotely a pantser. No, I am a total plotter. Yeah.
That's awesome. And I'm loving the comments from your fan club here.
Oh gosh, I can't see who's here, but thank you for coming.
They are well represented.
Yes.
I love you guys.
Sarah Bakulski, I hope I said that right, Sarah, wants to know, how do you choose your locations? And have you been to all the places you've set your books?
Oh, I wish. I wish. I actually just come up with it. Some places that I just always wanted to go, or some places I have been. Like for example, I'd always wanted to put Lexi in Egypt because I just always had this vision of Lexi riding around on a camel, and I just thought it would be the funniest thing. So I wrote the book No Living Soul, and I really love the concept of pyramids and all this other stuff. And I just felt there was so much rich material I could use with her as a geek, the pyramids and the mysteries and the ancient, tablets and all kinds of things that could be solved from that. And so, like, for example, I set that there. Since you guys are here, and I think some of you know, but some of you may not know, but No Questions Asked, which is coming out in March, is going to be set in Brazil. So now
Oh,
I know.
cool.
But yeah, I've had books that I'm trying to look with books set in Papua New Guinea. We've had books, No Woman Left Behind, that went to Djibouti and Somalia. And where else did she go now? I forget. You guys probably remember. There's books. She went to Hollywood, of course, where Lexi starred on a reality TV. Well, she didn't mean to star, but she ended up starring on one of those reality TV shows called Geeks Get Some. And there was some other. She's been also to the British Virgin Islands and where else, and to Rome and Amalfi Coast, of course, in Italy. Her significant other is from there, so
That's so cool.
So it's fun.
Very fun. So where do you come up with all these crazy ideas?
Yeah.
I have an extremely active imagination. If my mom, I know she said she might try to come on. Hi, Mom, if you're there. I had imaginary friends. Yes, I did, and so I've always.
And do you still?
I still do, obviously.
Okay, I was gonna say nothing wrong with that.
Nothing changes. They're still all coming out of my head. So yeah, so I just think it up. I don't know. I just have these crazy ideas, and somehow I get them down on a book, and it works out. So that's the fun part. So, but it's really fun. I love it. I mean, you guys know you don't write because you write it because you love it. It's
right.
Yeah, it's part of you. So
I know, because sometimes I just get so down about like where my career is stalled at. And then I hear people say, "Oh, maybe you should quit," and I'm like, I just can't though.
yeah,
Who said you should quit? I'm gonna go beat him up. Who says you should quit?
I know. Like, listen, she's not on right now, but my mom at one point said that. She's like, maybe you should stop and concentrate on your family. And I'm like, ma'am.
oh,
My family gets me enough. Trust me.
I think I struggle with that too, because I think, and we've talked before we went live, I mean, we're all trying to balance family and, I know Julie works full time too and everything, but I mean, part of me thinks that, I've got 3 kids, and I think they were so proud of me when they got to see my book on the shelf at Barnes and Noble. I think that it means a lot that, they see that moms can follow their dreams too. And I am hoping that it inspires them. And my kids really like pizza. So they can like, oh, are you on deadline, Mom? Because that means we get chicken nuggets and pizza.
Yeah, it's corn dogs is my family. Corn dogs.
There you go.
But I just got this mayo chup, right, from the store. So now I have
What?
chup, so they want corn dogs all the time. Mayo.
a mayo what?
Sauce. For you Westerners, fry sauce, right? It's like amazing. Ketchup had a baby together. They went together. Mayo chup.
Is that like an East Coast thing?
No, it's mayonnaise. I'm on the East Coast. No mayonnaise.
No, it's Western. It's fry sauce. They call it fry sauce out west. And it's just mayonnaise and ketchup mixed together. And
yeah, people are so lazy they can't just mix mayonnaise and ketchup together on their plate.
No, we just buy it from Heinz. Heinz is like underwear.
Well, I am from the Midwest, and I'm telling you, we dip our French fries in ranch. So
Okay.
fried chop would not be welcome in my house.
Mustard on my French fries. Just
No, not fried chop.
I think I'm gonna
Mayo chop. May chop? What's it called again?
Mayo chup.
Mayo chop. Okay.
I think we're gonna have to do a poll. Like, what do you put on your French fries?
I think we might have to do that because,
we actually just did something like that fairly recently, and I think it was like 2 days ago. I actually asked everybody what was their quirk, and I said my quirk was I like mustard on my French fries, and then suddenly everybody's telling me what they like on their French fries. It was so cool. It was so interesting. I'm like, wow, there was actually a lot of people who liked mustard on their French fries. That didn't feel so quirky after all. But some people did put on their French fries like chocolate cake and stuff. I was like, wow, that was interesting. That was cool.
So I'm gonna give a shout out to Denise, who loves fry sauce, and ask her, is she from the West though? Like, I'm just curious if it's a Western thing. Oh, and Brett, I know she's from the West. she's my VIP team leader. So I know she's from the West. So
I don't know. This mayo chup is a new thing for me, and I don't like change. I am a late adopter, whatever. So
you don't like change?
No.
I don't know. This kind of change is good, though. It's the tasty kind that gives you like at least another 5 pounds on your ass.
Yeah. Well, I don't need any help with that. I'm already working my way through that one. So
I know. I went running today. That's why I have a migraine.
Oh, Catherine says fries in a Frosty. My kids do like that. They'll dip their fries in a chocolate shake. And I just can't do that either because then you've got like the hot and the cold together. And
sweet. I'm with Catherine too. I will do both of those.
No, all right. Denise is from Colorado, so that's kind of west. All right. Well, it seems like growing up, I lived in Texas and my cool cousins lived in California. Not that my cousins in Kansas City weren't cool too. In case any of them ever see this, they were awesome. But it did seem like things progressed from the west or the east to the middle. So I don't know. Maybe mayo chup is going to be the next big thing here in Minnesota pretty soon.
And then you people are going to start saying pop instead of soda and Coke.
What about soda pop? Can you put them together? Pop.
That's like retro.
Real old. Okay, fine.
Soda pop is a retro thing. No, I grew up where people would say, what do you want to drink? And you'd say a Coke and they'd say what kind. I mean, yes.
That's the South, right? Okay, so the South says Coke. I'm talking East Coast South, right? Says Coke.
East Coast South, what is that?
East Coast. I mean, like California on the West Coast.
I don't know, Don.
In the Northwest, they say soda. That's in my experience, anyway.
Okay.
And then out west, we say pop, and then you people say, what do you say? You say what? Soda?
In Virginia?
In Minnesota, they say, God, what do they say? I don't know.
Sorry, Julie, I'm not being mean. I'm saying you people to Dylan. I'm being mean.
No, it's okay.
They say pop here.
I'm a military brat, so I've lived all over the world, and they say it's different in every place I go. So I say it however else they were saying it wherever I lived. So, yeah.
Julie, can you please tell our watchers, though, the amazing story you told me and Dylan about Russia? Like, that was so cool.
Oh, you mean when I worked for the radio? Oh.
Yeah, like you live there and like speak fluent.
Julie is multilingual. Yes.
Multilingual, yeah.
So, well, quick story. So, I actually am a military brat. So I went to school. I went to high school in Japan, in Okinawa, Japan, to be exact. And I studied a couple years of Japanese. And I thought, well, when I go to college, I'll continue studying, Japanese in college. But I should have, which I didn't, was look to make sure that the college I got accepted, it offered Japanese, which it didn't. So then I was like, oh, wow, well then now what language am I going to take? So I decided to take Russian. So I took Russian, and in my sophomore year of college, my professor asked me to stay after class one day, and I thought I'd failed my test or something. And then everybody left, and then some guy came in and sat down and said, hi, my name is John Smith from the CIA, and, we're wondering if you would like to be, come and join us at the agency. We're looking for people with, language skills, and especially Russian language, because first of all.
Agency, can you give me, because I'm thinking like CIA, so is it the CIA?
Yeah.
She just said CIA, Dawn.
Why? And also trying to read the comments.
So anyway, that's how it started. Long story short, I did not join the CIA, even though I was considering doing it for a very long time, all the way through graduate school. When I got to graduate school, I actually got an offer to go to Munich, Germany at the time, and work for Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty, which at the time, see, I'm old, so I'm dating myself because I'm old, and it was the Cold War still. And so anyway, they were broadcasting news and information about the country itself, so about Russia to Russia. So I decided to pursue international journalism, and so I went to Munich and I went into this internship, and it was the year I went was the year after Carlos, the bomber, actually bombed the radio station there. It was one of the first big international terrorist events, and my mother was not crazy about that, but I went anyway. And so, and so then that's how I started to work for the radio. And so I was really just a behind the scenes person when I came back to Washington, D.C., and I worked at the radio station here in the Russian service because they had a Russian service. So I worked for the Russian service, and I was mostly a behind-the-scenes person. I, did a lot of translation into English for the Russian staff, and I helped doing some production work behind the scenes. It was old days, so we had the tapes where you cut and splice and all this kind of stuff. But at one time we did a cultural program on the United States, like they were talking about, and it became very popular in Russia. Like they wanted to hear, and I was helping to contribute the material. But for some reason, I remember why, but for some reason I was on the air for just a few minutes talking about something. Somebody was interviewing me for that program, and it just kind of took off. Like people were like, who's Julie? Who's this? Blah, blah, blah. So I actually did one whole show by myself in Russian about the U.S. and culturals and stuff or whatever. So that was pretty cool. And I worked at the radio for many years. I was there when the wall actually fell. The Berlin Wall fell. I was working at the radio. We covered 48 hours straight. So that was kind of cool. And and I got up on my desk. You can't see it. Well, I can get it, but I have a note from the President of the United States thanking me for my contribution to bringing down the wall. So, and I have a piece of the Berlin Wall as well. So actually, show it if I still have it. Where did I put it? I don't know where I put it. But anyway, somewhere here I have a piece of the Berlin Wall, and here it is. Wait, I'll get it for you so you can see. Everyone can see an actual piece of the Berlin Wall that I got. Here it is. Can everybody see it?
Wow.
Wow.
So actually, one of my friends was at the wall. He was hacking it down, and he saved a piece for me. So
Very cool.
I took that to school for my son in my son's high school and showed it, passed it around the class, and I was a cool mom for one day, So it was fun.
I want to say, Trisha, I thought the same thing. Like if you, Julie, did join the CIA, you couldn't tell us. I mean, so how do we know that you're not actually a CIA agent?
I'm pretty sure the radio was
my word for it. But just remember, we're watching. No, I don't know anything about it.
So basically, Dawn, be careful because there's a file on you that has been started.
I already know there's a file on me. You know how many times I've Googled how to kill people with bombs and shit? I'm sorry, I'm cussing now. Yeah, I'm sure there's a file on me, but it's okay because I know that I'm in the clear.
That is super cool, Julie. So all of those experiences find their way into your book somehow. And
I write about spies. I write about, the government and how it does stuff. So I feel like, I'm somewhat authentic in certain parts. Of course, some of it completely made up, but no, I am not. You see, I'm not. I see you over there.
And have you ever had any other visits from any members of any agencies about your books or?
Oh, about my books? Oh, about the books. Yes, sort of. Yes.
Sensing another story there.
Can you repeat the question?
Just answer however you'd like.
About the books, no.
Okay. We'll let it go with that, right?
Yeah, we're 5 minutes past the hour.
We're kind of at time. We'll just let it go. Yeah, I think Linda's right. I think, Dawn, you do have an X file.
I'm sure. But I've had a secret clearance before. I don't think I'm allowed to say.
Yeah, but they had to take it away when you started drinking wine.
No.
I'm just
kidding. I took it away when I got out of the military, but I've held some secrets.
Oh, see, look at you. I didn't know you were in the military. Which branch?
I was a gunner's mate for the United States Coast Guard.
Oh, the Coast Guard. How congratulations. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your spy service. Oh my God. I agree with, we need to schedule Julia for a repeat performance, Karen says, and I agree.
I think so.
Everybody's had enough. I think everybody's overdosed on Julie today. No?
I think we're all going to have to go join Julie's Facebook group because I think that they're there.
It's so much fun.
Based on what Adrian and Trisha are saying, I think you're going to get some follow-up questions to your visit with us tonight, Julie.
Well,
and I just want to give a shout out to Trisha because Trisha, I lived in Boston for 7 years.
Of course you did. Dawn has lived in every major city in the United States.
Hey, Adrienne. Adrienne?
Is that Adrienne Rubinkowski?
Yes.
Hey, so Adrienne and I just got back. Adrienne is my buddy, and she went with me to. We just came back from Greece, Sicily, Malta, and Copenhagen. Sorry, I forgot that. So hi, Adrienne.
Very nice, and that was a research cruise, I'm sure.
Yeah, it was awesome. It was an awesome trip. Awesome trip.
Very cool.
But we unfortunately have to end because we're getting on the closer end of 10 minutes past the hour. So we're going to say goodbye. Next week, we have Dylan's box set.
2 weeks. 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Mm-hmm. Every other week, Dawn.
Every other week. It's a good thing because I'm so tired.
Dawn might be here next week by herself, but... Yes, in 2 weeks. In 2 weeks, I am in a box set that comes out on August 20th. And so in 2 weeks, we're going to have several of my box set mates. Does that sound like a good way to say that? My fellow authors, it's a contemporary set called Sweetest Obsessions. And we are going to, they'll come on and read some excerpts from their books. It's only 99 cents for 20 plus contemporary books. So if you want to pre-order, there's lots of freebies. But yeah, we'll be on in 2 weeks to kind of share some of the stories from there.
And I can't wait because
we've got a full schedule. I mean, we have got authors booked now, like up through October. I think.
So then we also have a lot that are wanting to book with us. So I have to get my rear and gear and go contact them because I think we'll be booked up until next year.
Yep, I made a lot of friends at RWA, so
yes. And
so keep an eye on things, and we'll let you know who's coming on.
Yes, we will.
So, and special thanks to Karen for letting me squeeze you when we got together last week. It was so much fun to actually meet her in person.
Yes. Now I'm jealous. Oh, can I just give a quick shout out real quick?
No.
Please? Okay.
I'm going to stop you. Go ahead.
It's not a shout out. It's a promo boost. So I'm going to be signing at a readers event in, I believe it's November 15th and 16th in Portsmouth, Virginia, not New Hampshire. Portsmouth, Virginia. And it's a readers event. So there's going to be authors doing live book readings, but in real person live, not like virtual life.
Are you gonna do that, Dawn?
I probably am. Yeah, I got to do for it first before I can.
Will you tape it for us?
I'll see if they will.
Just kidding.
Yeah, I'll have my husband wants to be my assistant this time. So if you read my husband, he might be there to be my assistant. But and we're selling raffle tickets, and Karen already got hers. The grand prize is $250 cash.
Oh, well, if Karen already bought one, I'm not entering because Karen wins everything.
She does.
She's the luckiest person.
Lucky.
She wins everything.
Tell us when you win the lottery, Karen. So,
yep.
So that
she'll take us all on a cruise so we can just read the whole week.
And we can be like, I know her.
Oh, Trisha says, Julie, she'll see you on Saturday.
Yay.
Oh, yay! I'm signing at the Suffolk Mystery Authors Festival in Suffolk, Virginia.
Oh, awesome. Are you by me, Julie?
I'm sorry, what was that?
Are you by me? I'm at Fort Eustis.
I'm in Fairfax, Virginia, up by DC. I'm in
DC.
Yeah, but I'm going to be down in Suffolk I'm leaving. Yeah, so we're going to be down there this weekend Suffolk has a big mystery writer festival.
Yes.
Yeah, so I'll be.
I may have to come see you then and just give you a hug and take a selfie.
Oh, great. It's on Saturday. The book signing is, I forget exactly what time, sometime on Saturday. So maybe Trisha knows. Trisha, what time is the book signing on Saturday? She probably knows. But
is there information on your page?
Yeah, there's if you just look up the Suffolk Mystery Writers Festival, it's Suffolk isn't that big, so it's small. Yeah,
I'll take a look because I'm going to be in Portsmouth for my writers chapter meeting, so maybe I'll just pop over there.
Okay.
Wow. And then you can get a picture.
Wow.
I'm going to take a selfie and then I'm going to post it like I did at RWA.
So,
and
how does the giveaway work for this? So do we?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. We should probably fill you in on that. So we'll leave it open for a few days and then we'll pick your winner.
Okay.
And then we'll let you know who it is so that we can coordinate with them and get an address and everything to ship the bag.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Okay.
And the other winner will get, what are we doing? One of my books?
Anne-Marie felt really bad. She totally had to dip out, and so I will I will do a drawing. I'll post it, an updated thing, if anybody wants win a copy of Cowboy Troy.
Can I enter? Can I enter Cowboy Troy?
Not. You are ineligible. Trisha says 1 to 6 on Saturday.
Thank you, Trisha.
If I come, Trisha, I want to meet you too because I love the Bostonians.
All right. Well, maybe you will. Well, thanks for joining us tonight. Thank you, Julie, so much for being here. It was a lot of fun learning about all your amazing experiences and hearing your book.
And now I'm going to have to join your fan club.
Now, please do. So if you're looking for me, just go to Julie Moffatt author Facebook. I think it's Julie Moffatt fan club. That's it. Just Julie Moffatt. Okay. Yeah, that's it. So you'll find me on Facebook. So
sounds good.
Okay.
All right. See you next time. Bye.